Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk on this beautiful Wednesday, February 8th. I am Cody, with me from Chicagoland, Mr. Andy Fallman. Andy, how you doing?
I'm great, Cody. How are you?
Hey, man. Living the dream. It's warm outside. It's not freezing. It's like 40 degrees in Michigan. Snow's melting. I'm pumped.
It's like really hot.
What kind of weather you guys got?
About the same.
All right.
About the same. It's like, well, I mean, we're not, it's not like below zero freeze and stuff like that. But are you going to so when it gets this warm out, do you go outside and do stuff? Like, are you don't you mow your neighbor's lawn?
I mean, if the snow was all gone, probably, but there's still a little bit of snow out there. A little snow and ice. So we better hold off for a few more months. But I will tell you what was last night, the first time that we didn't have a sunset after 6 p.m. It was awesome. The days are getting longer, is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's okay. So, do you do nice sunset walks on wherever you are?
You got to get out there and just feel the air.
Feel it.
Just got to feel it.
All right, you want to feel some charts here, or what do you want to do?
Let's feel some charts. Our very first chart comes from a friend, Mark B. from Michigan. Wants to look at bean meal.
Well, this is the hot topic here lately, huh?
It is the hot chart.
So there was the WASDE report today.
Yeah,
that was pretty wild. But actually, so one of our guys, I was just thinking this out loud. One of our guys in our office, Mr. Zach Bowers, messaged me about this the other day. Pretty interesting formation that took place 2 days ago. I think it would have probably played out a little bit more had there not been a major report 2 days after the fact. But check this out. You have this candle here that completely engulfs the previous day,
mm-hmm.
and then opens lower the next day. That's a pretty good sign of weakness, right? But again, you had a major market moving report show up, so it obviously can have a big impact on price action. But this was a pretty clear sign of weakness. So what I think is interesting about it is that you had that formation. The market seemed to absorb today's report pretty well, but you're also, look where it touched today. 20-day moving average right there. Nice blue line.
I was looking at that.
I think if it closes below that, given this formation, it's outside day where you just, again, engulf the previous day like that. And we're looking at the body of the candle, by the way, not the wicks, but you're interested in the body, the hunk of the candle. So, if it breaks through this 20-day moving average, then I got to think this 460 number. Look at that. Right there.
What I found interesting is go back into middle of January, 480, which was a big point of resistance, has now become support.
Very interesting.
And the two candles that you're talking about from Friday and Monday of this week touching $500 and then coming off pretty hard is a pretty good telling tale right now that the market just does not want to trade, obviously, above 500.
Yeah.
Until we get some outside news that gives us that rally. But
it's a great spot by you, by the way. Yeah. What was once resistance became support. And
even today.
We're here now, right?
Yeah.
It's a price where 480 doesn't seem to be a price where the market likes to be at for very long.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think? Are you going to buy meal? Are you buying meal, selling meal?
I think tomorrow, if you get an open above where we closed at today and we still do not settle below 480, I think it's a buy. It might take a long trajectory, but we need to get a settle below 480 for me to be a seller of this, I believe.
All right. Fair enough. Let's get that. Hey.
You? Well, what are you thinking?
Well, hang on. Let's go back. Whoa. Slow down a little bit. I agree. I think this 480 number, I'd rather sell it worse than 480, but have let's say you break through that 20-day moving average. You get that close below 480, all that good stuff. And then I think you could sell with a lot more confidence and say that's probably a quick trip to 460. But you're 100% right. If you continue to find support at 480, maybe if you are looking to be a seller, hold off to see if, to your point, take another shot at 500.
Yeah. Or
if you get that open lower and close below the 20-day, then that's probably a pretty good sign that you want to be a seller.
Okay.
It's kind of tough. It's kind of I don't know, no man's land's the right word, but it's, it's hard to be heavily opinionated until you get the confirmation one way or the other.
Right. Exactly.
So this one came at request too, didn't it? Or somewhere around this?
Yeah. Actually, someone did want to look at the bonds.
Bonds.
I don't think we've ever looked at this one before. No one's ever written about bonds to me before.
Nothing about me. I don't know.
That's all right. Here we are.
I used to go over to that side of when we were at the Board of Trade. I think they were there. Shoot. I mean, I guess if you just look at this chart, so this is a daily. It's a 30-year. It's 132. Seems to be a number the market doesn't like.
Yeah.
You're back below. I don't know why the 200 isn't printing here, but you're back below these two major averages.
50 day.
50 day.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this on a little bit longer term. I don't know. This one's kind of perplexing because it's like this weekly doesn't look good. It looks like it wants to go kind of cut back down to 125. Let's take a look at it on a monthly. I don't think the monthly is telling you much. But the daily, I mean, yeah, this 132 print, and it looks like it's like kind of like a longer term M that's playing out.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I was just going to say it looks like a longer term M falling below 126, getting down to 125 there. But I think you had pointed it out, settling below the 50 day moving average there does not look fantastic for the bulls on this chart.
This doesn't look good.
No.
We'll see. I don't know. I think the weekly is the one that sticks out to me the most. You've got repeated attempts to get through this price. Couldn't get through. You haven't gotten a settle over, what is this, 131 and some change? We'll call 132. You haven't gotten a settle over that price, and then when it did, this is promptly rejected, took it again, and now it's rolling over. Yeah, this looks like it wants to go test this 125 area.
Yeah.
Yikes. But longer term, though, I mean, it's starting to kind of build that base to where you might want to think about owning it, assuming. So check this out. Look at that.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that. Kind of cutting right through it. But yeah, I mean, it looks like if this thing rolls over and then maybe it kind of holds in at 125 and then pops back to 130, you'll start to gradually work your way out of this downtrend that started end of 2021. Okay. That could be that. I mean, that's definitely something to be mindful of, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So looks like there's a short-term short play here. I don't know. I don't think you'd want to get married to being overly short something like this when you after this retracement here, it's been tough to get back down into here, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
So probably don't want to get married to being short, but probably could have a short-term sale here. I don't know. Maybe you should go out and maybe if it does touch 125, maybe you go buy some bonds, put them in your freezer or something like that. Where do you put bonds?
Store them up.
Store them up? You put them in the freezer? Speaking of storing.
Maybe store a little milk.
Store a little milk. Put a little milk in your pocket. That's March. What do you think?
Man, so obviously you haven't touched this chart since last time we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm just looking at that long-term downward trend that you have drawn. Did we test that today, or we got very close to it? Looks like
close. I think the number you and I were talking about today was 80.
Yeah, didn't quite get there.
So let's zoom in on that bad boy.
What was our high? 1776.
There it is. So yeah, I mean, you touch 1780 and it retests that trend. You want to be a little careful. You've had attempts to break out of it. Like, what day was this? Yikes! Look at this day. Wicked day right there. Bam. 124. So that high was 1868. Low that day was 1815. Yikes. Settled 1821.
Right.
So you've never really had a breakout of this trend since it began, right? You tried to get through it intraday and then clearly failed to close through it.
Right.
So it starts pricing next week. Learn more about that from Joe Schmidt, by the way. You're welcome, Joe.
Check out bases loaded.
Check out bases loaded. Check it out. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's trying to get through it again, but you start pricing next week, so it's kind of it's a little bit tougher. They got to turn cheese around here,
right? So
I think this is approximately at 80. It's approximately 75, 80 cents premium, depending on how much premium you want to add in to the NDPSR. Which today it's 3:30 Central on Wednesday. Pretty healthy premiums that were reported in the block today. So, and I don't think the barrel was any slouch.
Yeah.
So it's certainly possible, right? But to me, it feels like, at least with cash fundamentally, demand feels weak. Overall, I think we're seeing more, sales out of like Europe, et cetera. So I probably want to be a seller of rallies here, but I think the big tell will be is how it acts around this downward trend.
I would agree. Kind of like the soybean meal that we looked at earlier, being a seller below 480 if we fell below there. I think I'd want to be a buyer above 1780 if we could get a close above there, right? Above this trend line that you have drawn. And until then, I mean, look how the market's acted previously when we get these little bump of a rally 1 to 2 days in a row, and then we completely fall off and create new lower lows. That's not to say that it'll happen again, but you get to settle below 1740 and you're going to have some new lows.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I want to be mindful of.
I could see this, having another kind of day like today or a day like this coming up.
Yeah.
This candle really sticks out to me. Right. We're at a big range, and it tries to punch through this trend and then fails to do it. Right. I mean, if you had a day, if you did another, what is this? So 68 down to 15. So what is that? 53-point range that day?
Yep.
Peg that onto this chart here, and you would take it through $18. 18.10. Now you're starting to talk about a 185, a cheese NDPSR average for the next 4 weeks that may be a little bit tough to attain. So, but that said, I mean, futures can go do whatever they want to do. They're futures.
Yeah, I think you just got to be careful. You got to be careful of March. Like you said, it starts pricing next week, but still a lot of movement can happen in this March chart.
So you don't want to do anything with this chart right here, right now?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I think you'd need some confirmation either above that trend line or below 1740 with settle.
Okay. Well, I hear what you're saying. I think we got to look for. I think you got to be wary of a day like this right here, especially since we start pricing next week. But here's a chart you're opinionated on. You got something to do here. It's a hunk of a chart.
Our favorite.
It's your favorite. It's the Hammer's favorite.
It's the Hammer's favorite, man. March corn.
What are you doing with the March corn?
Oh, looking at that, settling above the 20, 50, 100, 200-day moving average today, right?
You sure look. Hang on.
Yeah, the 200 on there.
Sure did.
Sure did. You know what? Let's bring the hammer out. March corn is a buy from here.
That's it. The hammer has spoken. It's hot.
It's slowed down, right? From when we started looking at this chart, we've kind of been in a little bit of a sideways trend for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I'd say, where you got the trend drawn right there. You got our channel drawn, but
so let me ask you this. Here's this chart.
Yep.
Burning in your brain. You've got this like sideways pennant forming, and it's what's interesting about it too is it's the range of like the formation is getting tighter, which tells you that it's really winding itself up and it's about to have a volatile move. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be like this all over again? Remember this?
Yeah. I mean, it looks eerie similar, right?
It does. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. It looks very similar. Well, okay. Can you expand that a little bit down where you are? What day did we settled above and then the moving averages and then took off 1 or 2 days after?
We sure did.
Okay. So to your point, I mean, you got to be careful on this chart really taking off to the upside here.
I agree. I mean, I definitely agree with that just because, I know we've been narrowing this band, this like pennant, but it's also been, I would say it's been more so towards like putting in higher lows. Right. So like the distance from here to here is greater than the distance. I mean, this is basically the same price almost. I mean, you can even argue that we really haven't been in this kind of pennant, but it's more of like an ascending triangle where you bump up against a horizontal line basically. Right.
Yeah.
So this looks eerily similar to that meal. This could go. And you've got the moving averages that have confirmed that, this is on a report day, right? Let's take a quick look. Yep. Yikes. I don't know. I definitely don't want to be a seller of that. Get that hammer out. Get that hammer out. You're buying it.
Still a buyer of March corn here.
Yeah, it's spoken. What was it last week? The hammer was a buyer, and we really haven't moved much of anything, right? Yeah. And so the hammer's a scratch right now.
The hammer's still at a scratch, and I think if you get what looks like that bean meal chart that you just pulled up, I mean, our next testing point, $7.05. After that, there's a nasty little gap at $7.32. So
right there.
Yep.
Hang on.
As we've said before, just be mindful, be careful.
We got to say exactly what you called it. Like I was spelled a little, by the way.
There you go. I mean, it's true. I think that's something that you got to be mindful of going forward here in the next couple of weeks.
This thing could be a face ripper. I agree. I think I agree with the hammer. I think you want to be a buyer of this chart. This looks good. It's got some nice technical, it's got some nice technicals behind it. But I think that I think that where you'd really want to lay into the position, so to speak, is a close over this right here. This is 685.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, if this gets over there at 685 and starts to go, you've got these moving averages behind it.
So you're saying a trip to 685 and a settle at or above 685, correct?
I would say, you test 685, 687 open, 690 close the next day. It's go time.
It's go time. Okay.
What'll be interesting too about that is that you would, like, let's say you did clear that, you wouldn't have, like, I mean, shoot, like that. Anybody that was a seller from November forward, right, would be out money.
Correct.
That psychologically, I think, would also have a pretty big impact.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I didn't even think of it that way.
Hammer first, think later. Like,
absolutely, all the time.
How come you don't want to go mow your neighbor's lawn? By the way, what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, it's 40 degrees and the snow's still there. As soon as the snow clears, I will. But I don't want to be slinging ice all over the place.
You just want to be slinging corn.
Slinging corn. Awesome.
Fine.
Well, everybody, that's going to do it for another episode of Tech Talk with Andy and myself. We appreciate you tuning in. Please, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your coworkers. Give us a watch. Mark, we appreciate you emailing in. It's always good to get some new charts that we haven't looked at before in here. And until next week, everyone keep watching corn.
Keep the hammer on.
We'll see you soon.